Good day, everybody. Welcome to another episode. So glad to have you with us today. Kind of an esoteric discussion today, I think. I came across, there's a coworker here at Orgometrics. He works on our equimetric side with the diversity, equity, and inclusion tool. And he's a singer in a choir. And since the pandemic, they haven't been able, obviously, to be able to go and give out any concerts, live concerts. And they wanted to be able to go and fulfill their mission, to be able to go and spread joy to the community through song, through a choir aspect. So what they did over the last couple of months have set up and structured, and they put it on this last weekend, a virtual concert. And as Dave was telling this stuff to me, it really resonated with the aspect of what we've all had to do in whatever organization we're in as a result of the pandemic, to be able to go and fulfill our mission and vision through different means, using different tools without having physical eye-to-eye interaction. And I'd like to describe a little bit about what Dave did to kind of indicate the different processes that he had to use and the whole choir had to use to be able to go and put on this virtual concert. And then try and connect that with what you and I might have had to do over the last 13, 14 months to be able to go and handle our day-to-day activities, fulfill our mission through different means. So David was talking about this, what he had to do. And the first thing they had to do was to lay down his audio track. Now there's 60 members of the choir. All 60 members of the choir had to do this very exact same thing. In laying down the virtual audio track, Dave had some support. He had a tool to be able to help with the beat, a view of a conductor being able to go and hold the beat, as well as obviously the sheet music and all the things that needed to be done. So he had some support to be able to go and, in his mind, understand what his role was within the choir, and to be able to lay down his track in a manner that hopefully would seamlessly work not only with his section, but with all the other sections in the choir to be able to make things happen. So he had headphones on and he laid 5 separate versions of each of 4 songs to be able to kind of get the cadence right and do everything. And there's some different versions in case there needs to be some splicing, cutting, and inserting into the final product. And what kind of amazed me is I was thinking about what Dave was telling me. The biggest thing that came to my mind was the cadence, the beats per minute, how fast he was supposed to be, and how does one keep in pace with the whole song throughout when you don't have any other cues from the singers along with you. And I sang choir till 10th grade, so I knew a little bit about this, and I've heard different studies that have taken athletes and non-athletes to be able to go and state when 8 seconds are up. They've done this with rodeo riders, bull riders. In their mind, what is that internal clock that says, okay, it's 8 seconds, I can get my butt off of this bull? You know, I have something 10 seconds to be able to get the ball across half court. Everyone in sports that have some time involved have been trained over years to be able to have an internal clock that tells them when they need to be able to go out and accomplish things. But Dave has no one else to be able to go and lean on, depend on, hear how that beat is to be able to keep it. He is going all by himself to try and keep the same cadence throughout the song, because if he gets off by too much, when all that gets merged together with the other 60 members, the possibilities of it being off are significant. And that could end up leading to an overall performance that is very significantly different than what they would want. But since Dave has that experience, he said it wasn't that much of a trouble. He knew how to be able to go and handle that count and keep with it because of all of the years of singing that he's done. His experience and skill set and capacities of understanding time and pace. So he was able to go and take care of that, have the audio tracks. Now he has to do a video track. Now they don't care about the audio with this video track, but the video track will be using another tool and sync up the audio with the video. So when you have all 60 people on that Zoom screen, there's going to be a tool behind that that will match up David's video with his audio and possibly be able to make adjustments in the sort. So not only with the audio tracks, the mouthing of the words or singing needs to be in tune with what was done on the audio track, but they're disconnected. The complexity of utilizing new processes, new tools to be able to accomplish something that has been done very differently for years in David's experience was a challenge. But to be able to go and fulfill the mission of the choir, it's something that all 60 were very eager to do and put their best foot forward to be able to go and make things happen. And they learned quite a bit. The result of this was a marvelous concert put on this last weekend virtually of 4 songs that this entire choir put together. It sounded marvelous. Now, is it going to be the same type of energy that an in-person choral concert would provide? No. The energy and emotion that comes from a group of individuals singing melody and harmony in such beautiful ways creates an energy in the room that just really literally can't be fully realized when you're seeing that same performance on a screen. But to be able to go and spread joy, not only amongst the people who do watch it, but in the singers themselves doing what they love. It's really special. And I think I mentioned this early on in some of the first episodes that I did. I talked about my wife and her experience coming here into the house for remote working and how much of an adjustment it was. She was very paper-oriented, working with member organizations on money transfers and spending and things of that nature. And she was really curious on how she was going to be able to do a workflow when there was no one else around, when she didn't have access to documentation that was in paper format. Her, along with her colleagues in the accounting department, went and created some new processes to be able to go and make things happen. So they're scanning documents. So now everything's electronic. So no matter where anyone is, and they just hired someone who lives a 6-hour drive from here. and he's going to be working remotely. But they set up all these processes. They use new tools and new processes to leverage the skills and abilities and the needs of the employees and the customer base. So what does that mean for you? Maybe, hopefully, you've started creating some parallels between David's choir story and what you've been experiencing as a leader trying to go and manage in a COVID world. Maybe what you've seen is that the expertise, the experience of the employees on the team has been able to be transferred into a virtual environment because they know the cadence and the timing of how to work their part. And even though there aren't other people around to be able to go and just walk over to their desk and bounce ideas off of, they're expert enough to be able to know how to do things at the right time, in knowing that collaboratively other members on the team are going to be doing their bit as well. I hope as a leader you've seen that there's been a lot of that just innate, it's ingrained in us type of work done. And you have enabled or created tools and processes to be able to go and help remove barriers that might have happened for these employees to be able to go and fulfill the mission. You've found new ways of doing the same thing. And as I talked about in a previous podcast about leading in a COVID world where you think that you don't have that management tool of being around and seeing everybody and looking over their shoulder, that over these 13, 14 months, that your cadence and your processes of being a leader have been able to go and translate, and you've found out new ways to be able to go and express that leadership in a virtual world. But you didn't die when you first tried it. You might have thought, how am I going to manage these people? And maybe you've turned into more of a, I'm leading these people. I can let some reins loose because I know that they have the skills, because I've been able to see it from different perspectives. And these processes that we've had in place for years, we've been able to take a fresh look at and modify or strengthen or completely junk because they no longer served their purpose. I hope over the last 13, 14 months that you can go and look back at yourself, hopefully look back at your colleagues, and even look at the entire organization and see yourselves as more capable leaders, a more capable organization, a more empowering organization, where people hold themselves even more accountable because of the virtual environment. If you could, if you haven't taken a look at that, look back. See how you've progressed over time, how the organization and your colleagues have progressed over time. What have you learned? How have you grown? What paths has this COVID experience put you on that you may not have had the opportunity to go and walk down if not for COVID and all the things that happened? COVID has been awful. But through all that pain and suffering come evolution, new insights, new realizations to be able to go and put yourselves, your organizations, into new planes of existence. Look at those paths and see how you can move forward. Dave and the choir found new ways to be able to go and fulfill the mission. And we're very successful, that choir. Be honest on how you've actually progressed, your organization has progressed. You may end up being pleasantly surprised at how far you've gone. That's the end of another episode. Thank you so much for taking the time to be able to go and listen or watch if you're catching us on YouTube. Please make sure you go and put some feedback on here, put a rating on. We'd love to be able to hear from you if there's some questions that you would love to have answered. Be able to go and provide that to us. I'd love to be able to go and discuss your questions, because if you have them, other people have them as well. Have a great rest of the week. We will see you soon. Cheers.